Hello guys! Welcome to my class. Guys, I just want to remind you, listen carefully and focus on our lesson so that you have a lot of things to learn. Alright? Guys, we will move on to our new lesson. But before that, let us have a short review regarding to our lesson last time. Our lesson last time was all about business organization. When we say business organization, guys, it is one or more businesses controlled in common by a person or group of people. An organization may have one or more businesses, but a business may not have more than one organization. Ibig sabihin, ito ay isa o higit pang mga negosyo na kinokontrol o pinapatakbo ng isang tao o grupo ng mga tao. Pagdating sa business, guys, maaaring may isa o higit pang negosyo ang isang organisasyon. Pero lagi ninyong tatandaan, guys, na ang isang business o ang isang negosyo ay hindi maaaring magkaroon ng higit sa isa pang organisasyon. Okay? Now, as you can see, we have two kinds of organizational chart or structure. One is a small business and the other is typical structure of a corporation. If you notice, guys, in a small enterprise, the organizational structure may be very simple, right? The owner is usually the manager. He or she is referred to as the entrepreneur. He or she may have daily contact with his or her workers in the company. He or she is the one who establishes the policies, assigns the jobs to be done, and follows up on the job for purposes of direction and coordination. While the typical structure of a corporation, a company or organization has many scope or members, as you can see, guys, which many people or employees manage here. Ayan. Guys, despite the size of business, the organizational structure tend to look the same in all businesses. The standard shape is pyramid, with the chief executive at the apex and groups of workers forming a broad base. Guys, gaano man kalaki o kaliit ang negosyo o kumpanya, pare-pareho lang ang mga layunin nito. Ang maabot ang kanilang goal pagdating sa negosyo, ang kumita ng pera, makagawa ng mga produkto at serbisyo, at maibigay ang pangangailangan at kagustuhan ng mga tao sa pang-araw-araw nilang pamumuhay. Okay? Now, as you can see, guys, in small businesses, it has very little scope or very few people who manage it. The one above is the owner, or usually he or she is also the cashier. And the one below or under the owner is the salesperson or worker and the personnel. These are the only people who usually run small businesses, guys. Now, if you notice, guys, in the typical structure of a corporation, its scope is wide. And many people are involved in a business or a company. Guys, sa ganitong klase ng mga malalaking negosyo o kumpanya, maraming tao ang namamahala dito. Lahat ng mga taong involved dito ay mayroong kanya-kanyang tungkulin at gampanin upang mapalago ang negosyo o kumpanya. Alright? Now, for today's lesson, we will talk about forms of business or enterprise. Guys, organization or enterprise means to plan a business, to start it, and run it. Siyempre kapag nagpatayo kayo ng negosyo, kailangan nyong magplano para sa inyong negosyo. Ito na yung simula na patatakbuhin nyo at pauularin nyo ang inyong negosyo. When you are about to build a business, guys, it means to bring the factors of production together, assign each its proper task, and pay them remuneration when the work is done. It implies not only running of a business, guys, but also shouldering the loss if any. The man who undertakes all this work is called an organizer, or more commonly, an entrepreneur. Organizing and risk-taking are the two main functions of the entrepreneur. Guys, ang ibig kong sabihin, kapag nagpatayo na kayo ng sarili ninyong negosyo, nangangahulugan ito na ito na ang simulain ninyo upang pangunahan ang mga bagay sa negosyo. Ang produksyon ng inyong mga produkto, italaga ang bawat isa sa mga gawain, at bayaran ng mga ito pagkatapos ng kanilang pagtatrabaho. Guys, hindi lang ito tumutukoy sa negosyo, kundi kabalikat mo rin o pananagutan mo rin ang pagkalugi ng inyong negosyo o kumpanya kung mayroon mang mga ganitong klase ng sitwasyon o pangyayari. Dahil katulad ng sinabi ko guys, pagdating sa pagnenegosyo, marami kayong pagsubok na kakaharapin bago nyo maabot ang tagumpay. Okay? Now, enterprise. What do you mean by enterprise, guys? Enterprise means which are small, require little capital and may be owned by one or a few entrepreneurs. Ayan. Ibig sabihin guys, ito yung mga maliliit na negosyo o proyekto na nangangailangan ng maliliit na puhunan at kadalasang pagmamay-ari lang ng isa o iilan lang na negosyante. When we say enterprise guys, enterprise is the undertaking of activities associated with the production, sales or distribution of products or services. Ibig sabihin nito, ito ay ang pagsasagawa ng mga aktibidad na nauugnay sa produksyon, pagbebenta, o pamamahagi ng mga produkto o serbisyo. An example of an enterprise is a new startup business. An example of enterprise is someone taking initiative to start a business. Ang isang halimbawa ng enterprise guys, ay ang pagsisimula o pagpapatakbo ng negosyo bilang isang entrepreneur. Upang magawa mo ito, dapat mayroon kang pangunguna. Kailangan mayroon kang initiative para makapag-umpisa ng negosyo na gusto mong ipatayo. Now, a business enterprise guys can be operated as a sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, limited liability company, or other type of business association. Guys, pagdating sa pagnenegosyo, ang negosyo ay maaaring pinapatakbo lang ng isa o pagmamay-ari lang ng isang individual. Maaaring dalawa, o yung tinatawag nating partnership, o maaaring grupo, o samahan ng mga individual o negosyante, at iba pang uri ng asosasyon. Alright? Next, single proprietorship. Single proprietorship guys, the business is owned by only one individual. Ibig sabihin ng single proprietorship guys, ito ay isang negosyo na pagmamay-ari lamang ng isang individual. Okay? A single proprietorship guys, also known as a sole tradeship, individual entrepreneurship, or proprietorship. It is a type of enterprise owned and run by one person or individual. A sole proprietor guys is the investor, owner, and manager of the business enterprise who receives and exclusively owns all assets and profits of the business, and has unlimited responsibility for all losses and debts, and in which there is no legal distinction between the owner and the business entity. Katulad ng sinabi ko guys, ito ay isang uri ng negosyo na kung saan pagmamay-ari at pinapatakbo lamang ito ng isang tao o individual. Siya lang ang mismong namumuhunan, nagmamay-ari at namamahala sa negosyo, at siya lamang ang tumatanggap sa lahat ng kita ng negosyo. At siya rin lamang ang may pananagutan sa pagkalugi, pagkakautang, at maging sa pagpapaunlad ng negosyo. Alright? And another guys, a single or sole proprietorship is an individual who generally has full control and authority over the business. Mayroon itong kakayahan na gawin at kontrolin ang mga bagay na nangyayari sa kanyang negosyo. Alright? That is single proprietorship guys. Next. When there are two owners of the business, it is called partnership. Ibig sabihin guys, ito yung negosyo na kung saan pagmamay-ari ng dalawang individual o dalawang tao na magkasosyo sa isang negosyo. Alright? A partnership business guys is an agreement between two or more people to oversee business operations and share its profits and liabilities, and combine their resources to form a business and agree to share risks, profits, and losses, as well as the responsibility for managing the company and the income or losses the business generates. Guys, ito ay isang kaayusan o kasunduan sa pagitan ng dalawa o higit pang tao upang pangasiwaan ang mga operasyon ng negosyo at ibahagi ang mga kita at pananagutan nito sa bawat isa. Ang ganitong klase ng pakikipagsosyo guys ay nangangailangan ng pagtutulungan. Ibig sabihin, ang dalawa o higit pang tao o individual ay pinagsasama ang kanilang mapagkukunan ang kanilang puhunan o pera upang bumuo at magpatakbo ng isang negosyo. Bahagi sila ng mga pagsubok na maaaring kaharapin ng kanilang negosyo, maging sa kita at pagkalugi ng kanilang negosyo. Lahat sila ay mayroong responsibilidad na pamahalaanan at pangasiwaan ng negosyo o kumpanya. Alright? That is partnership, guys. Next, in a big company where there are several owners, the enterprise is called a corporation. Ibig sabihin, guys, kapag maraming individual ang nagmamay-ari sa isang malaking kumpanya o negosyo, tinatawag itong korporasyon o corporation. A corporation is a legal entity whose investors purchase shares of stock as evidence of their ownership interest in it. It is a business or organization formed by a group of people, and it has rights and liabilities separate from those of the individuals involved. Corporation has most of the rights and obligations of an individual, such as being able to enter into contracts, hire employees, own assets, incur obligations, and pay taxes. Guys, ang isang korporasyon ay legal na pagnenegosyo na kung saan ang mga namumuhunan ay bumibili at mayroong bahagi ng mga stock o mga produkto na katibayan ng kanilang pagmamay-ari. Ang corporation, guys, ay isang negosyo o organisasyon na binubuo ng isang grupo ng mga tao at mayroon silang karapatan at pananagutan sa negosyo. Ang korporasyon ay mayroong mga karapatan at obligasyon sa bawat individual, tulad ng kakayahang gumawa ng mga kontrata sa pagtatrabaho, kumuha ng mga empleyado at sariling mga ari-arian, magpatupad ng mga gawain at obligasyon, magbayad ng mga buwis, at marami pang iba. Now, why is there a corporation when it comes to business, guys? All corporations are in business, guys, to earn a profit. However, corporations are also responsible for increasing profits to maximize those of their shareholders. The shareholders have ownership in a corporation. They earn profits on their initial and additional investments. Guys, ang lahat ng mga korporasyon ay nasa negosyo upang kumita ng pera. Gayunpaman, ang mga korporasyon ay may pananagutan din sa pagtaas ng kanilang kita sa negosyo upang mapakinabangan ang kanilang mga shareholder. Sapagkat kapag ang isang negosyo ay hindi kumikita, magsisialisan ang mga shareholder o ang mga ibang miyembro o nagmamay-ari ng negosyo. Dahil ang mga shareholder na ito ay mayroong pagmamay-ari sa isang korporasyon. Kumikita sila sa kanilang inisyal at karagdagang mga pamumuhunan. Kaya naman, napakahalaga ng isang negosyo o ang isang korporasyon ay kumikita upang mapanatili ang pag-unlad ng kanilang negosyo o kumpanya. Alright? That is corporation, guys. Next. Okay, cooperative. A cooperative, guys, is owned by the members it serves and it is managed in their interest. Ibig sabihin ng cooperative, guys, ang cooperative o kooperatiba ay pagmamay-ari ng mga miyembrong pinaglilingkuran nito at ito ay pinamamahalaanan sa kanilang interes. A cooperative is an association of persons, guys, that is owned and controlled by the people who use its products and services and who benefit from what the company has to offer to meet their common economic, social, and or cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled business. Ang kooperatiba, guys, ay isang asosasyon o organisasyon ng mga tao na nagmamay-ari at kontrolado ng mga taong gumagamit ng mga produkto at serbisyo nito at nakikinabang sa kung ano ang inaalok ng kumpanya upang matugunan ang kanilang pangangailangan sa pang-araw-araw at maging sa kanilang pang-ekonomiya, panlipunan at kultural na pangangailangan. Now, what is the role of cooperative, guys? Cooperatives, guys, are viewed as important tools for improving the living and working conditions of both women and men. Since the users of the services they provide own them, cooperatives make decisions that balance the need for profitability with the welfare of their members and the community which they serve. Ang ibig kong sabihin, guys, ang mga kooperatiba ay mayroong mahalagang gampanin o mahalagang kasangkapan para sa pagpapabuti ng kalagayan ng pamumuhay ng mga tao. Dahil pagmamay-ari sila ng mga gumagamit ng mga serbisyong ibinibigay o binebenta nila, ang mga kooperatiba ay gumagawa ng mga desisyon o paraan para balansihin ang mga pangangailangan para sa kakayahang kumita para sa kapakanan ng kanilang mga miyembro at komunidad na kanilang pinaglilingkuran. Alright? That is cooperative, guys. Next, consumer cooperative. A consumer cooperative, guys, is an organization of consumers who buy together cheaper goods and get cheaper services together. Guys, a consumer's cooperative is one in which individuals combine their buying power, usually for the purchase and wholesale or retail distribution of agricultural or other products. Cost savings are achieved by buying directly from the producer. Ibig sabihin, guys, ang consumer cooperative ay isang organisasyon ng mga mamimili na kung saan mayroong kakayahan upang bumili ng mga murang produkto. Kadalasan, upang makabili ng mga murang produkto o serbisyo, ay direkta silang bumibili sa mga producer. Alright? Guys, consumer cooperatives are businesses which belong to the people who use them. Since the primary goal of cooperatives is to meet needs, not generate profits, they can serve their members at low cost. Cooperatives often provide services to their communities that are not readily available from for-profit businesses. Guys, ang consumer cooperatives ay mga negosyong nabibilang sa mga taong gumagamit nito. Dahil ang pangunahing layunin ng mga kooperatiba ay upang matugunan ang mga pangangailangan, hindi makabuo ng kita. Ibig sabihin nito, may mga taong bumibili ng mga murang produkto hindi para makabuo o kumita ng pera, kundi para matugunan ang pangangailangan nila. Ang mga kooperatiba, guys, ay kadalasang nagbibigay ng mga serbisyo sa kanilang mga komunidad na hindi madaling makuha mula sa mga negosyong kumikita. Dahil nga mura ang kanilang serbisyo, mas mabibigay nila ito kumpara sa mga ibang negosyo o kumpanya na mahal ang mga produkto at serbisyo. Now, what is the importance of consumer cooperatives? The major difference between consumers cooperatives and other forms of business is that the purpose of Consumers Cooperative Association is to provide quality goods and services at the lowest cost to the consumer or owners rather than to sell goods and services at the highest price above cost that the consumer is. Ang pangunahing pagkakaiba ng mga kooperatiba ng mga mamimili at iba pang mga anyo ng negosyo ay ang layunin ng Consumers Cooperative ay upang magbigay ng mga dekalidad na produkto at serbisyo sa pinakamababang halaga sa mga mamimili, sa halip na magbenta ng mga produkto at serbisyo sa pinakamataas na presyo o halaga. Alright? That is consumer cooperative, guys. Next, we also have advantages and disadvantages of different types of business ownership. The first one, sole proprietorship. This type of business ownership is easy to start. The owner works hard, but he or she is the boss and receives all of the profits. The capital is limited, and the owner is responsible for all debts. As I said before, guys, a single proprietorship is a type of enterprise owned and run by one person or individual. A sole proprietor is the investor, owner, and manager of the business enterprise, and generally has full control and authority over the business, and receives and exclusively owns all assets and profits of the business, and has unlimited responsibility for all losses and debts, and in which there is no legal distinction between the owner and the business entity. Now, we have some advantages and disadvantages of sole proprietorship, guys. We have advantages of sole proprietorship. The first one, affordable and simple. The advantages of a sole proprietorship are simplicity and affordability. Guys, one thing that is nice about sole proprietorship is that it is affordable and simple to do. You can think of the business you want to build without anyone dictating to you what you can do. Guys, ang isang bagay na maganda sa sole proprietorship ay abot kaya't simple ang pagnenegosyo. Maaari kang mag-isip ng negosyo na gusto mong ipatayo na walang nagdidikta sa'yo na kung ano ang maaari mong gawin. Alright? Isa yan sa mga magandang bagay pagdating sa sole proprietorship, guys. Next, you have freedom and flexibility. Freedom and flexibility of running your business as a sole proprietorship are included in this business structure. Being sole proprietor, guys, also good because you have all the decision-making freedom. Guys, bilang isang sole proprietor, mayroon kang kalayaan at kakayahan na gawin lahat ng gusto mo sa iyong negosyo. Maganda ito sapagkat nasa iyo lahat ng desisyon na maaaring gawin sa pagpapaunlad ng iyong negosyo. Alright? Next. Simpler income tax. Taxes as a sole proprietorship are a lot simpler. As a sole proprietor, there are certain tax advantages that come with small businesses deductions. For a small business that uses their own home as a business base, part of housing cost, including utilities, internet, and such can be written off. This helps reduce personal taxes and possibly even result in a tax refund when you file your personal tax return. Ibig sabihin, mas mababa ang buwis na maaari mong bayaran kapag ikaw lamang ang nagmamay-ari sa iyong negosyo. Sa papaanong paraan? Kapag maliit lang ang iyong negosyo, maaari mong gamitin ang iyong bahay o ang iba pang espasyo ng iyong bahay para sa iyong pagninegosyo. Sa ganitong paraan, makakatulong ito na mabawasan ang personal na buwis na maaari mong bayaran. Alright? Now, we also have disadvantages of sole proprietorship. The first one, no liability protection or unlimited liability. You know what, guys? Among one of the biggest disadvantages of a sole proprietorship is unlimited liability. You are solely responsible for all the financial aspects of your business. This liability not only spans the business but the business owner's personal assets. This means all debts and any litigation fall on your shoulders. Debt collectors can access your savings, property, cars, and many more to see a debt repaid. This puts your own money at risk as your personal assets are exposed. In this case, having separate business insurance is a good idea. Guys, isa sa mga hindi maganda pagdating sa sole proprietor ay ang pagkakaroon ng walang limitasyong pananagutan sa negosyo. Ikaw ang tanging responsable para sa lahat ng aspetong pinansyal ng iyong negosyo. Ang pananagutan na ito ay hindi lamang sumasaklaw o tumutukoy sa negosyo, ngunit maging sa mga personal na ari-arian ng may-ari ng negosyo. Nangangahulugan ito na ang lahat ng utang, bayarin at gastusin ay iyong pananagutan at responsibilidad. Kapag nagkataon, maaaring manganib ang iyong ari-arian, katulad ng sasakyan o kotse kung mayroon man, ang iyong mga ipon, at marami pang iba kapag hindi mo na pangasiwaan ng maayos at mag-isa ang iyong negosyo. Kaya naman, kapag inirehisto mo ang iyong negosyo, mahalagang magkaroon ka muna ng insurance bilang pag-iingat para sa iyong negosyo. Okay? Next. Financing and business credit is harder to procure. Guys, as a business entity, you may have a harder time securing financing and business credit than a corporation. An incorporated business is eligible for government funding and can raise funds fairly easily. A sole proprietorship generally can't. Guys, bilang isang nagnenegosyo, mahirap tustusan ng mag-isa ang negosyo at mahirap makalikom ng pondo para sa negosyo. Hindi katulad sa corporation, maraming miyembro ito at maraming pondo ang maaaring malikom. Kaya naman, kapag nagnegosyo kayo, siguraduhin nyo na malaki ang inyong pondo para matustusan at mapaunlad din nyo ang inyong negosyo. Alright? Next. Raising capital can be challenging. Ayan. While sole proprietorship startup costs are low, difficulty raising capital can limit growth and possibly even run you in the red for a little while. Because you are personally liable for business debts, it is also your responsibility to foot the bill for suppliers, overhead and labor costs, and so on. This is one of the significant disadvantages of sole proprietorships as business owners. Personal assets are limited or tied up in the business. Guys, pagdating sa sole proprietorship, ang pagpapalaki ng kapital ay maaaring mahirap. Bagamat mababa ang mga gastos sa pagsisimula ng sole proprietorship, ang pagpapalaki ng puhunan ay hindi madali at maaaring bumagal ang paglago ng iyong negosyo. At posible pang malugi ito kapag ito ay nawala ng mapagkukunan. Dahil ikaw lang ang may pananagutan sa iyong negosyo. Dahil responsibilidad mong bayaran ang mga utang, mga bayarin at gastusin ng iyong negosyo. Isa ito sa mga pinsala o magiging kawalan kapag mag-isa lang ang namamahala sa negosyo, guys. Alright? Next. Partnership. This type of business is fairly easy to start and each partner is liable for all business debts. As I said a while back, a partnership business, guys, is an arrangement between two or more people to oversee business operations and share its profits and liabilities, and combine their resources to form a business and agree to share risks, profits, and losses, as well as the responsibility for managing the company and the income or losses the business generates. Now, here are some advantages and disadvantages of partnership, guys, when it comes to business. The first one, exemption of tax. The most significant advantage of partnership, guys, is the exemption from tax at the business level. Partners are taxed on their share of the profit or loss at their individual tax rates. Mutual agency and unlimited liability should be weighed against the tax benefits of partnership. Guys, ang maganda sa pagkikipagsosyo sa negosyo o partnership ay hindi lamang ikaw ang magbabayad ng buwis, kundi pati ang kasosyo mo. Mayroon kang kahati sa buwis na iyong babayaran base sa kinikita ng inyong negosyo. Alright? Hindi lang ikaw ang may pananagutan sa lahat ng bayarin, kundi pati ang iyong kasosyo. Okay? Lagi niyong tatandaan yan, guys. Next, decision making. Partners share the decision making and can help each other. More partners means more brains that can be picked for business ideas and for the solving of problems that the business encounters. Isa pang maganda sa pag-iipagsosyo, guys, ay mayroon kang katuwang sa pamamahagi ng desisyon at pagpaplano na maaaring makatulong sa bawat isa. Nangangahulugan ito na mas maraming idea, plano, pamamaraan at desisyon ang maaaring gawin para malutas ang problema na kinakaharap ng negosyo at maging sa pagpapaunlad ng inyong negosyo. Alright? Next, more cash. A prospective partner can bring an infusion of cash into the business. The person may also have more strategic connections than you do. This may help your company attract potential investors and raise more capital to grow your business. The right business partner may also enhance your ability to borrow money to finance the growth of the business. It helps to keep these money issues in mind as part of the criteria in evaluating a potential partner. Ang pagkakaroon ng kasosyo sa negosyo, guys, ay maaaring makatulong upang makapagdala at makapagbigay ito ng pera na maaaring gamitin sa pamumuhunan ng negosyo. Guys, napaka-importante na mayroon kang kasosyo na maaasahan sapagkat makakatulong ito sa iyong negosyo o kumpanya na makaakit ng mga taong pwedeng mamuhunan sa iyo at makalikom na mas maraming kapital para mapalago ang iyong negosyo. Alright? Always remember that, guys. Number 4, cost saving. Having a business partner, guys, can allow you to share the financial burden for expenses and capital expenditures needed to run the business. This could result in more substantial savings than by going it alone. Guys, ang pagkakaroon ng isang kasosyo sa negosyo ay magandang simulain sapagkat ito ay maaaring magbigay daan sa iyo na ibahagi ang pinansyal na pasanin para sa mga gastusin ng inyong negosyo. Sa ganitong paraan, maaari itong magresulta sa malaking pagtitipid para sa iyong negosyo. Alright? Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo, maraming negosyante ang nakikipagsosyo upang magkaroon sila ng kahati pagdating sa mga gastusin. Alright? Next, disadvantages of partnership, guys. First one, liabilities. In addition to sharing profits and assets, a partnership also entails sharing a business losses, as well as responsibility for any debts, even if they are incurred by the other partner. This can place a burden on your personal finances and assets. Basically, you may be responsible for decisions your partner makes in connection with the business. In looking at the advantages and disadvantages of a partnership, this may be one of the top issues to consider. Guys, ito yung mga pananagutan na dapat kaharapin ng bawat isa. Katulad halimbawa, kung may pananagutan man ang isa sa miyembro ng negosyo, kung may utang man ito o siya ang dahilan ng pagkalugi ng inyong negosyo, ito ay pananagutan mo rin sapagkat magkasosyo kayo sa negosyo. Lahat ng problema, pagsubok, at pananagutan ng isa ay pananagutan ng lahat. Okay? Always remember that, guys. Next, disagreements. One of the most obvious disadvantages of partnership is the danger of disagreements between the partners. Obviously, people are likely to have different ideas on how the business should be run, who should be doing what, and what the best interests of the business are. This can lead to disagreements and disputes which might not only harm the business but also the relationship of those involved. Guys, isa sa mga hindi maganda sa pag-iipagsosyo sa negosyo ay ang hindi pagkakasundo. Madalas hindi nagkakasundo o nagkakaunawaan ng magkasosyo sa mga idea o desisyon na gagawin para pangasiwaan ang negosyo. Alam naman nating lahat na mayroon tayong mga sariling pamamaraan kung paano paunlarin ang negosyo. Kaya may mga pagkakataon na hindi nagkakasundo ang mga magkasosyo. Kaya naman, ito ang nagiging dahilan kung bakit mayroong mga negosyo na bumabagsak o nalulugi dahil sa ganito mga pangyayari. Okay? Next, profit sharing. Partners share the profits equally. This can lead to inconsistency where one or more partners are not putting a fair share of effort into the running or management of the business but is still reaping the rewards. Guys, isa pa sa mga nagiging problema pagdating sa pag-iipagsosyo ay ang pagbabahagi ng kita. Maaari itong humantong sa hindi pagkakasunduan o humantong sa hindi pagkakapare-pareho na kung saan ang isa o higit pang kasosyo ay hindi nagbibigay ng sapat o patas na pagsisikap at pamamahala sa negosyo, ngunit nakakakuha pa rin ng sapat na bahagi ng kita kumpara sa isang kasosyo na nagsusumikap at nagsisikap na maigi upang mapaunlad ang negosyo. Okay? Isa rin itong suliranin na dapat isaalang-alang pagdating sa pagkikipagsosyo. Alright? Always remember that, guys. Next, corporation. There are more sources of capital in a corporation. It is difficult and expensive to start this business, and the owners do not have total control of business decision unless they are officers of the company. As I said before, a corporation is a legal entity whose investors purchase share of stock as evidence of their ownership interest in it. It is a business or organization formed by a group of people, and it has rights and liabilities separate from those of the individuals involved. Corporation, guys, has most of the rights and obligations of an individual, such as being able to enter into contracts, hire employees, own assets, incur obligations, and pay taxes. Now, we also have advantages and disadvantages of corporation, guys, when it comes to business. Now, we have advantages of corporation. The first one, owners have limited liability. Owners have limited liability. Why? Because the owner's assets are protected from the debts and liabilities of the corporation. Shareholders are not held liable for business losses. The shareholders of a corporation are only liable up to the amount of their investments. The corporate entity shields them from any further liability, so their personal assets are protected. This is a particular advantage when a business routinely takes on a large risk for which it could be held liable. Guys, ang maganda sa malalaking kumpanya o samahan ay limitado lamang ang iyong pananagutan kung isa ka sa mga stockholder ng kumpanya. Dahil ang iyong mga ari-arian ay protektado mula sa mga posibleng pagkakautang ng korporasyon. Bilang isang stockholder o isang shareholder, hindi ka mananagot o wala kang pananagutan sa pagkalugi ng korporasyon o kumpanya. Mananagot ka lamang sa halaga ng iyong pamumuhunan. Ibig sabihin, kailangan mong panatilihin ang iyong puhunan o share sa kumpanya o negosyo na iyong kinabibilangan. Okay? Always remember that, guys. Next, transfer of ownership. Guys, an advantage of corporations for their shareholders is that corporations allow their shareholders to transfer their ownership without restrictions. Shareholders can easily buy and sell the shares of a corporation in a stock market without the need for prior approval. Isa pa guys sa maganda pagdating sa korporasyon o samahan pagdating sa pagnenegosyo ay pinapayagan ng korporasyon ang kanilang shareholder na ilipat ang kanilang pagmamay-ari ng walang paghihigpit. Ibig sabihin, ikaw bilang shareholder, maaari mong ibenta sa ibang shareholder ang iyong share o pagmamay-ari sa negosyo nang walang hinihintay na aproba galing sa ibang tao o korporasyon. Yan ang maganda pagdating sa korporasyon o samahan pagdating sa kumpanya, guys, pagdating sa business. Alright? Next, easy to invest. Corporations, guys, are also easier to invest in as compared to sole proprietorship and partnership. Because in corporations, anyone can buy shares from the market. Pagdating sa corporation, guys, mas madaling mamuhunan kaysa sa sole proprietorship at partnership. Sapagkat sa corporation, kahit sino maaaring bumili ng mga share o produkto mula sa merkado. At sa corporation guys, maraming kasosyo ang maaaring magbigay ng puhunan na maaaring magpabilis sa pagpapaunlad ng negosyo. Alright? Always remember that guys. Next, easy to raise capital. It is easier to attract capital with the sale of its stocks and bonds. A corporation guys can have an unlimited number of investors. Ito yung maganda sa kanya. Sa corporations guys, madali makalikom ng puhunan sapagkat kung marami ang miyembro o kasosyo dito, mas madaling makaakit at makakuha ng puhunan na maaaring makatulong sa pagpapaunlad ng negosyo o kumpanya. Okay? Always remember that guys. Now, we also have disadvantages of corporation. The first one, double taxation. Corporations are separate entities that may be advantageous for various reasons, guys. However, this also means that a corporation, as a separate entity, will have to pay its taxes. Once a corporation is taxed, it can distribute any earnings to its shareholders in the form of dividends. These dividends are then taxed again for each shareholder. This means earnings made by shareholders through corporations are subjected to double taxation. Ang hindi lang maganda sa corporation guys, ay doble ang pagbabayad mo ng buwis. Sapagkat ang kumpanya o ang korporasyon ay nagbabayad ng buwis para sa mga kita na kinikita ng kumpanya o korporasyon. At bilang miyembro ng korporasyon, bilang isang negosyante, kailangan mong magbayad ng buwis base sa iyong kinikita sa iyong kumpanya. Alright? Next, difficult to form. Corporations, guys, are more difficult to form as compared to other types of businesses. This is because corporations, guys, must comply with stricter rules as compared to other types of businesses. Similarly, there are several different stages that the initial owners of a corporation must go through to form a corporation. These stages may require a lot of legal formalities to be performed. Furthermore, promoting it can be difficult and time-consuming after forming a corporation. Overall, corporations are more difficult to establish and result in more cost for the initial owners. Guys, ang ibig kong sabihin, isa pa na hindi maganda sa korporasyon ay mahirap itong itatag o mahirap bumuo ng isang samahan o korporasyon kaysa sa ibang uri ng negosyo. Sapagkat kailangan mong sundin lahat ng panuntunan at regulasyon sa pagpapatayo at pagbuo ng korporasyon o kumpanya. Maraming legal na dokumento ang kailangan mong isagawa at magbuhos na maraming pera bago makabuo ng isang samahan, korporasyon o kumpanya. Alright? Always remember that guys. And last one, more compliance. Corporations guys are subject to stricter compliance standards for various reasons compared to other businesses. These compliances ensure the safety of shareholders' investments in corporations and can also benefit the corporation. However, this may also create more administrative burdens and costs for corporations. Similarly, in case of any non-compliance, the corporations may face penalties or legal actions. Katulad ng sinabi ko guys, sa pagbuo ng samahan o korporasyon, marami kayong pagsunod na dapat sundin. Maraming bagay at pamantayan ang kailangan ninyong sundin para sa pagbuo ng korporasyon o ng kumpanya. Dahil kailangan nyong tiyakin ang kaligtasan ng mga namumuhunan o shareholders sa inyong korporasyon. Dahil kung hindi nyo susundin ang mga panuntunan na kailangan ninyong gawin, maaari itong maglikha ng mas maraming pasanin at gastos sa pangangasiwa para sa kumpanya o korporasyon. Katulad nito, sa kaso ng anumang hindi pagsunod, ang korporasyon o ang kumpanya ay maaaring maharap sa parusa o legal na aksyon. Lagi niyong tatandaan yan guys. Alright? Isa ito sa mga hindi magagandang bagay pagdating sa korporasyon guys. Alright? Always remember that. And here ends our lesson about forms of business or enterprise. Alright? Thank you for listening guys. Thank you for your time. Good day and God bless you all.